Alright, so today we'll be talking about the highly requested Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is a really popular hero in this game, and I can understand why. She's extremely fast with high mobility and quick pokes that'll eat your health bar up if you're not careful. I'm sorry that I didn't post this video earlier, but I really didn't like this character when the game first came out, and I don't really know why. There was just something about her I couldn't get a grasp on. Anyways, as always, I'll be breaking this video down into 3 parts: offense, defense, and how to fight against the character. But before we start, we've got a sponsored message from Gamerlink. Gamerlink is a free looking for group app where you can easily find teammates no matter what platform you're on. You can set these things called beacons, which other users can then find, whether it be through searching or filtering to find what they need. It's really easy to use and much faster than praying you find a teammate that talks in this game. For Honor is much better when you play with people. Also, I'm on the app and post beacons as well, so add me as a friend so we can play For Honor together, since I really do enjoy meeting you guys and talking with you directly. Now let's talk about Peacekeeper. So Peacekeeper's offense basically revolves around her fast strings and the bleed effect. Now bleed isn't as potent as it used to be, but it can still take you out if you don't play any defense. So first let's talk about her light attacks. Honestly, when I'm fighting a Peacekeeper, her light attacks are a huge threat to me because, as I've said, they are extremely fast. Her light attacks are very useful if you and your opponent are in a stale neutral game, since her stance is masked and it comes out in an instant. Use your light attacks if you can bait your opponent into striking after you dash. I should mention that she's the only assassin that can't do a light attack after a dash, but she can do a heavy. Speaking on her heavy attacks, Peacekeeper can actually cancel a heavy attack with a feint or into a quick stab that inflicts bleed damage. All you have to do to cancel into the stab is just press the light attack during the heavy attack startup. A move you'll find yourself using a lot though are her dashing stabs. So her dash is already extremely fast, being able to avoid most attacks in the game. You can do her dashing stab in all directions except moving backwards, of course. Now I should say, don't just spam this move out every time you dash, since it's pretty predictable. Only use it if you're avoiding an attack, catching an opponent off guard, or training your opponent into expecting it. If you land one of her dashing stabs, you can follow it up with a guaranteed light attack that inflicts bleed as well. The timing is pretty strict on the light attack though, so what I like to do is just watch your blade hit your opponent and then press light. Now let's talk about her guard breaks for a second. First off, Peacekeeper can sprint right into her guard break. Now as I said before, as the game currently is, a guard break cannot be dodged away from. They're basically heat seeking unless you time it right. So sprinting into a guard break is a very strong option at this point, even if you choose not to go for it and do a mix up instead. Anyways, after you land your guard break, you have a few options. You can either throw your opponent, stab your opponent, or stab and kick your opponent. So to stab your opponent, all you have to do is press a light attack shortly after your guard break connects. You can stab your opponent up to 3 times, each inflicting a little more damage. Now you can't just spam out the stabs, you have to press the light attack at a certain pace to get them all out. After a little practice though, you'll get the timing down, so don't worry if you accidentally drop it a few times. If you choose not to do all 3 stabs, you can kick the enemy away after 1 or 2. All you have to do is press guard break after you stab your opponent. You can follow this up with pressure or back away and regain your stamina. Now before I move on to her defense, let me talk a little bit more about her light attack. So as I said, her light attacks are insanely fast, but if you chain 2 light attacks and then drop the combo, you can begin a light attack chain again, which is still faster than most light attacks can come out in the game, meaning your opponent has no choice but to block or dash away. They can't even guard break. You can also drop the combo and go for a guard break yourself, since your opponent will probably be blocking or roll away. Anyways, on to her defense. As with most assassins, I don't have too much to say, but the Peacekeeper does use the reflex defense just like the other assassins, meaning your guard only stays up for a few seconds. This also keeps your stance hidden so your opponent can't see where you're going to attack from. Along with the other assassins, you can deflect as well. To deflect, all you have to do is dash in the direction your opponent is attacking from, just before the attack lands. After the deflect, you can perform an automatic light attack that causes bleed damage. The best way to practice this is to go up against bots so you can get the timing down for when you go up against real opponents. Now, fighting against the Peacekeeper is either going to be extremely easy or extremely frustrating, depending on how your opponent likes to play. So Peacekeepers love to abuse guard breaking, so always be prepared to counter by pressing guard break as soon as your opponent makes contact with you. Also, when you're playing a neutral game, watch out for your opponent's dash, since they can only attack in the direction they dash in the instance that they start landing light attacks. What I like to do is choose any direction they're not attacking in to try and guess where your opponent's going to hit you next. All you really need to do is be careful of her guard breaks and her super fast heat-seeking light attacks, and you should be fine since Peacekeeper is pretty squishy. And that's about it for this video. If you found it helpful, definitely drop a like since it really helps out a lot. Also, shout out to Frosty for giving me a few tips on how to play the Peacekeeper. He also does For Honor videos, so you can check him out if you want. I'll leave a link in the description. Also, thanks again to Gamerlink for sponsoring this video. I really do believe it's a good app that's really easy to use and clean to look at. Add me if you want to see my beacons and play with me when I throw them out. My username is InfiniteYT. I hope to see you guys on there, and that's it. Click on that circle to sub. Check out one of my previous videos on the left. And tell me in the comments if you believe that Peacekeeper is an overpowered cheese character.